Yeah, this is one bad man. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This kid's nasty.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
All right, so it's that time of year again in which we're going to go through every single draft prospect, okay? Every single player that's going to be drafted in the first round, second round, maybe even some people that's undrafted, all right? But I'm starting off with Brandon Miller. And as you guys know, we've talked about him a few times already. I've already talked about Wembayama like 5 million times, and that probably won't stop. And we talked about Scoot Henderson, so we're just going straight down the list, okay? So let's go ahead and start off with Brandon Miller. Now, before we get into it, before we dive into Brandon Miller, pause. Before we talk about him, really quick, if you guys want to support the channel, clanthemerchfan.com, link in the description. Thank you guys so much for the support. All right, so Brandon Miller, as we know, okay, elephant in the room, he was involved technically in a fatal shooting. All right, very, very devastating, that left a mother dead, essentially. So if you guys don't know, he was actually with two of his teammates, in which they wanted to go to the club. He didn't. He was like, it's too many people here. He left. What he didn't know, at least that's what's come out so thus far, is that there was a gun in the car. One of his friends got into it, one of his teammates got into it with someone over the guy's girl. Some crazy stuff ensued. He was coming back to pick him up. Friend messaged Brandon Miller saying, hey, bring my piece. Something he said, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Okay, he basically said, bring the gun. Brandon Miller never responded, and he was already on his way to the scene, in which his friend went into the car, I think it was in a jacket or something like that, pulled out the gun. And some foolishness ensued that left someone dead, and Brandon Miller was technically involved. But from what's come out thus far, it doesn't seem like he necessarily knew what was going on, and it's very apparent, at least in my opinion, that he didn't know, and at the very least he can't really be charged for what happened. But sure, more things will come out probably, but thus far it seems like he's fine. Very similar to like a Tyreek Evans type situation, which he didn't know himself that his cousin was going to shoot outside of a car, and even though he was involved, he was just with the wrong people. So I think that's kind of the same thing here with Brandon Miller. So let's go ahead and get that out the way. So when we talk about character and whether or not he will fit with a team and is he immature, what I've seen thus far, as far as interviews, his background, he seems fine. Seems like a clean kid. And it's just one of those situations that just look really ugly. And if we being fair here, look, Alabama has had its slew of controversy thus far. Anyways, I don't know what's going on with that school, but there's a lot of weird things that go on with Alabama players, and we'll just hope that Brandon Miller isn't in that category, and it doesn't necessarily seem like he is. Okay, so get that out the way. Let's go ahead and dive into statistics. All right, so stats, and then I'll go into how I feel about him as a player, and then we can look at NBA Scouting Live and see what they have to say. So overall, these are his stats. Actually, let's go here. This will be much better. All right, so here's the stats. He averaged 18.8 points a game, 2.1 assists, 8.2 rebounds. 86% free throw percentage, really good percentage, especially as a forward, essentially. 38% 3-point percentage, really good. 43% field goal percentage on about 33 minutes per game. So yeah, he can score. That's what he's known for. He can score. At 6'9", that's absolutely incredible numbers. Now, another thing too, this might be an elephant in the room too. I don't know how many people actually care, but in the tournament, he didn't play that hot. But then again, he was going through a groin injury, so we're not 110% sure if it was just nerves or something like that. But there's been quite a few reports coming out saying like, yeah, he was not 100%. He muscled through that. And yeah, it didn't seem like him a lot of this, but even still, let's say that he was completely healthy and he played terrible in the tourney. I'm not going to necessarily pin that against him. I mean, he's freshman. It's not that big a deal. Okay, it is what it is. Did it suck? Yeah, it sucked. But at the same time, I don't think that necessarily means that you're going to be like bad in the NBA. Also, I want to at least bring up from what I've seen in these games, he played well defensively, okay? And that's one of his bread and butter. One of his breads, but that doesn't make sense. his bread and butter is defense and shooting. I don't know where I was going with that. All right, so let me go ahead and give you my thoughts about Brandon Miller, and then we'll look into NBA scouting live. So overall, as far as offensive ability, he can basically do no wrong. Like, he can score in all aspects of the game. I know some people, I've seen some articles saying, well, can he shoot mid-range shots? And he can. If you go back and look at his high school footage, that was something that he was really good at. He can create his own shot, even though that's been questioned here and there, but he can create his own shot. He's really good off of the pick and roll, which I was really impressed by. Not only scoring off the pick and roll, but passing off the pick and roll as well. So he has some playmaking upside. Offensively, in my opinion, virtually flawless as far as a young player coming into the league. Like, you can't ask for more than what he is right now as far as an offensive player. Now, as far as downsides, well, actually, we'll keep on with the strengths. Defensively, solid, really solid, like really good. Okay, I know some people might say, oh, he's like Kawhi, which even my boy Switch Hill brings this up all the time. Everyone compares everyone to Kawhi, so he's not like Kawhi. Okay, he is technically a 3&D, but I would say that his offensive ability is far ahead of where Kawhi's was at this age. Okay, but defensively, really solid, really good. Always at the right place at the right time. I really like him defensively. So both ends of the court, he's really solid. Now, when we talk about the flaws here, okay, the cons, and there's one thing in particular, and I'm not the first to bring it up. Everyone brings this up. It's the fact that his athletic ability, even though this clip looks phenomenal, athletic ability isn't necessarily there. He doesn't have a ton of bursts. Doesn't have a great leap or great leaping ability by any means. It's just not necessary. And also finishing at the rim isn't the best. So I don't necessarily think that his athletic ability is going to get so much better, but I do think that once he's in the league and he gains a little bit of weight, you know, behind him, he'll be perfectly fine and he'll be able to finish at the rim a little bit better. And on top of it, I just don't think that athleticism matters that much. I know that is a huge plus and it's fun to watch guys like Ja Morant just leap over everybody, right? But I don't necessarily think that it's a must. He has some sneaky athletic ability, and that's all I really care about. I mean, some of my favorite players, Derek White, Jeremy Sohan, these type of guys, they might not on the surface look super athletic, but they do have that sneaky athleticism, and that's what I see from Brandon Miller. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. And even if you're talking about some of the top players in the league, I mean, Luka Doncic, Jokic, you know, Joker, you don't have to be stupid athletic to make it in the NBA. Okay, you don't have to be a LeBron James in his prime to be a star in the NBA. So overall, I really like his game. He can shoot anywhere on the court. He can shoot mid-range shots, even though he didn't do it a ton in college, it seems. But yeah, he can shoot from anywhere. Absolutely phenomenal. Good handles. Pretty decent playmaking. I brought that up with the pick and roll, but yeah, overall pretty decent, especially it seems as the season went on, got better and better. And also didn't bring this up that much, but I guess it just comes with the territory when we're talking about defense. But rebounding, really good. Now, what makes this the most impressive, though, is the fact that he is 6'9". That's the big thing, okay? If he was like 6'4" guard, 6'5" guard, I mean, it's still impressive. But the fact that he's 6'9", it's a really plus, or a huge plus for him. So he is something special, and I wouldn't sneeze at the idea of a team grabbing him, okay? Now, let's go ahead and look at pros and cons. Now, I tell you this every single time. I did this all last year. I'm gonna do it this year too. I do not look at this list before doing the video. Like I don't. I go through what my thoughts are, and then I go and see, you know, some of the more professionals and what they have to say about them. So let's see what NBA Scouting Live has to say about your boy Brandon Miller. So you'll see 6'9", 200 pounds, Alabama. Yeah. Pros. Very good shooter, especially from deep. Yes, dude. Sometimes it seems like he has like Steph Curry range. I'm not gonna lie to you. Oh, and one thing I didn't bring up as well, he has a stupid quick release. So that's a plus. Decent scorer off the dribble. Yes, we talked about that. Excels at scoring on off-ball motion play. They say this about everybody, by the way. Anyways, adequate playmaker. Yep, we talked about that. Moves well off the ball on offense. Oh yeah, that's another thing. He keeps you tired. Now he might not be on Ray Allen's level of keeping you tired when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, but he's very intuitive without the ball in the hand. So he's really good. Solid rebounder, talked about it. Solid defender that can get steals and blocks. Actually, yeah, let's go back and let's look at Steals, blocks is 1, but let's see if he had some breakouts in here. Looks like the most steals he got in one game this season was 3, and the most blocks he got in the game was 3 as well. Still impressive, still good, especially with his offensive ability. Even if he wasn't a great defender, I still think he's a lottery pick. All right, moving on. So it's just icing on the cake. Where did we leave off? Very good athlete. I mean, he's a good athlete, but I don't know about that. Cons. All right, here we go. Lacks an elite first step off the dribble. Okay, that's that burst I was talking about. Can display spotty shot selection. I don't know if that's because Alabama was dealing with quite a bit this season where they put even more on him. I mean, in the tourney, I mean, some of these games, he had to throw up like 20-some points, right? Or 30-something or 20-something shots. Or let's see, 5 for 20, 3 for 19. They definitely leaned on 4. Oh my goodness, 14 for 25. Yeah, they definitely leaned on. I'm not sure about that. Can display bouts of tunnel vision. Sure, yeah, I could see that. He is a scorer at heart, so keep that in mind as well. Like, even though I think he's a pretty decent playmaker, he is a scorer. That's who he is. So, moving on. Can be undisciplined defensively. I don't know if I agree with that. You know, anybody in the chat, if you agree with that, or in the comments, if you agree with this, please let me know. I don't agree with this one. I think he's actually very disciplined defensively. I know he can get a little jumpy at times, but for the most part, man, he seems very solid. Potential character risk, possible involvement in a major off-court incident. I guess you gotta put that in. I have not seen this on anybody else, but sure. But we already addressed that. I don't think that he has any type of character issue, but I guess it's a risk nonetheless. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong people. But I think one thing also that keeps me off of the Brandon Miller, you're such a screw up train, is the fact that the players or the guys that he was with were players of his. You know what I mean? Like that kind of changed it just a little bit for me. Like, if it's family members or if it's a teammate, that just makes me feel a little different. If it was just some friends off the court or whatever, it's like, come on, man, pick your friends a little better. But the fact that he was hanging out with his teammates and the fact that he decided not to go to the club and he went to a restaurant, I mean, he wasn't involved, okay? He wasn't, yeah. Anyways, he definitely didn't escalate the situation. That's all I got to say. Brandon Miller is an athletic, energetic combo forward that can make hustle plays on both ends of the floor. He is a very good shooter and scorer that can put up points in a hurry, and his ability to make plays on the floor combined with his length and athleticism could enable him to be a top 5 pick in the 2023 draft. Very interesting that they didn't put on here. Well, I guess they mentioned his first step off the dribble, but I think the athletic ability is something that hinders him a little bit. No, I mean, it's fine. I don't think it's that big a deal, but if we're going to do a pros and cons list, I would assume that would be in the cons. So that's a little strange for me, but those are my thoughts about him. I do like him. I think that he's going to be a very, very good player in the NBA. And thus far, I wouldn't trip about this. And that's just me. That's just my personal opinion after reading as much as I read about it. So anyways, I get with you guys later. If you want to support the channel, as always, man, clanthemerchfan.com, link in the description, or become a patron or YouTube member, only $2 a month. Thank you guys so much for the love. Until next time, bye.